Good evening and welcome to 2020. Take a good look at this 600-pound man because he's not that man anymore. You've seen plenty of before and after stories. We've done a few ourselves, but few that can beat this man's transformation.
What you're about to see will take your breath away. A man changed dramatically inside and out. And it all began with the encouragement of a complete stranger. Chris Conley with the story of an unbelievable friendship.
4.5 years ago, David Smith looked like this. He had spent nearly a decade on the couch in his parents' house, eating pizza, raiding the fridge, drinking soda. He weighed 630 pounds.
At a point in my life, I felt like the Elephant Man.
This is David Smith today, enjoying life and the inspiration he gives others.
Well done.
This remarkable transformation didn't happen overnight. It took more than 2 years of total dedication and no gastric bypass surgery. Yet this new body is not David Smith's greatest gift. This is friendship. It's something David Smith never dreamed he'd know. All during the years he was morbidly obese, imprisoned by shame and social anxiety.
It got so bad to a point that I didn't leave the house, and I didn't even feel comfortable in my own backyard until it was dark out.
Because you were so ashamed of how you looked?
So ashamed, and just, I didn't want to be mocked.
He'd had enough. So in June of 2003, he sent an email to Chris Powell, fitness correspondent for a local news broadcast in Phoenix, Arizona. Chris paid David a visit.
It was definitely shocking because I didn't know what 600 pounds looked like. When he opened the door, it was from door frame to door frame.
And we were both probably thinking, what are we getting ourselves into right here, Because, I thought, there'd be no way I'd have anything in common with this guy.
It's true, Chris was socially confident, a former Cosmo magazine bachelor. But now he was trying to get through to this painfully shy man.
He couldn't really look me in the eye. He was just so broken. He really didn't know what to say or what to do.
What did you want him to know at that first meeting about your commitment towards changing your life?
Oh, that, if he's going to put forth the time and energy, I'm going to do the same. And, I want this more than anything.
So I said, well, if you don't give up on me, I won't give up on you.
Chris and David made a deal. Then they had to go to a truck scale just to weigh David.
I'm thinking, wow, what did I get myself into?
To begin, Chris created a food plan for David. 6 smaller meals to replace David's end-of-the-day mega meal. Carbo balance to rev up his metabolism, with cheat days thrown in. He dropped 40 pounds in the first month. Then, after just 4 months of doing simple exercises in the gym, David lost 100 pounds. Chris was pleased, but David, well...
He kept telling me, he's like, when I look in the mirror, I still feel like the same person. Still see 630 pounds.
Then one day after a session, David handed Chris a letter he'd written. As Chris read, it began with a revelation that David had never shared with anyone else.
I was sexually abused by my first friend that I ever made. There was like 3 or 4 times, that, we did he did some things to me.
How did that abuse make you feel about yourself?
It made me shy away from people, not trust people at all. And, of course, I turned to food because, it made me happy.
Gaining more weight all the time and lacking social skills, David found school to be a nightmare.
I've had, like, sticks and stones and dog feces and, thrown at me and spit on.
Kids can be so cruel.
Yeah, I've got a broken arm and black eyes.
The emotional and physical abuse took a toll. He had dropped out of high school at 17 and headed for his parents' house. Over the next decade, he would emerge only rarely.
He'd be sitting there in his chair or in the couch, mostly on the couch, and when he's sitting, that's how he breathed. And I was so afraid that he was going to die, at an early age.
Trapped in a joyless, friendless existence, David began to plan his suicide.
I felt like, I deserve as much pain as possible if I was to kill myself. to burn myself literally in the desert. You know, I just decided maybe, you know, me dousing with gasoline and, you know, maybe people could hear my scream and hear all the despair that consumed me for all these years.
You can't help but cry when you read that story. When you hear about who he was and I guess who he felt like he was on the inside, he never had a chance in life. And I realized how valuable I was to him, not just as a trainer, but just as the first person in his life who actually believed in him.
As exercises got more strenuous and the pounds kept coming off, Chris began to unlock David's personality, getting him to talk and to laugh. Then David stopped losing weight. Chris suspected that David wasn't sticking to his meal and exercise program and challenged him.
And I said, I've put lots of time and energy and hours into this. I've given you 100% of me. Is this worth it? And he actually like came at me and grabbed me. He's like, you can't leave. You can't leave. Like, I need you. You have to do this. And that's when I was just like, bro, I'm just joking, man. I didn't mean it, you know?
No, I never wanted to see disappointment on his face again.
So he went back to following the program, and the results showed it. In fact, it was an update on live television that really drove it home.
And they show a picture of him before, and then all of a sudden they pan next to a picture of him now. So they put the two pictures up.
Right at that point, I was like, wow.
And both of us are like this. Just jaw open because we both forgot what he looked like.
Chris decided to reintroduce David to the social world, one that had treated David so cruelly. Chris made preparations at a nearby bar.
And so when we came in, he was the man. Girls kissing him on the cheeks, and everyone's high-fiving him and handshakes. And we got in the car, and I'm driving him home. He goes, that was the best night of my life.
As the pounds continued to fall away, Chris knew David needed him now more than ever. All his loose skin gave him the appearance of a deflated balloon. So he embarked on a series of surgeries to eliminate the excess skin, leaving him with 18 feet of scars. Chris was there for all the surgeries.
It's so worth it, trust me. You know, I could actually start seeing my muscles coming in.
At last, he had locked in on his target weight, 229 pounds. David Smith had lost 401 pounds in 26 months.
At first it was like, okay, well, let's aim for 230. That's 400 pounds. 400 pounds, it's just it's too even. But if you say 401 pounds, every pound counts.
The pizza delivery place near David's house, it went out of business.
Yeah, actually 2 of them did. Yeah, so they were hurting, I guess. You know, I closed them down.
He also enhanced his appearance with LASIK surgery on his eyes and some dental work to fix the teeth destroyed by too much soda.
You know, I even got some cheek implants. I needed help, come on.
Dude, you've put in the time. You do whatever you want, man.
Oh my God, yeah. I had no experience, you know. I've never had a girlfriend, and I'm a virgin. There, I said it.
You know that somebody's out there right now.
Somebody's out there. Somebody has to be out there. You know, I believed in losing my weight. I believe in so many things, and I believe there's somebody for me, I hope.
Now 31, working at a gym and studying to become a trainer, David has started bodybuilding. Chris never charged David a dime for his services and his emotional support. What he got in exchange, Chris says, was far more important.
I was with him through his transformation, but he's been with me through my own journey over the last couple of years, and that's the real reason why we're so close. He's hands down the most genuine person that you'll ever meet. He's got a heart of gold.
This holiday season, these two pals will have a lot to be thankful for.
You've accomplished amazing things over the last few years. Could you ever have imagined that you'd have a friend like Chris?
No, you know, coming from what I came from, it's amazing that we're such good friends. He's like my brother, you know. He's my angel here on earth.